Okay guys, we're gonna be doing something kind of fun today. I'm gonna go through every book that I read in 2022 and kind of reflect and reevaluate my ratings for them, because just thinking back, I know some of the ratings that I gave are just not right. I just wasn't in my right mind. This was before I was medicated, so that might be why. In 2022, I only read 16 books. I've read 42 this year so far, so you can see the improvement. Wow, that's really sad. I can't believe that's all I read. I thought I read a lot more than that. I'm just gonna go through these and see what I rated them and see if I still feel that way. We're starting this off strong. Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. If you know, you know. I gave Punk 57 3 stars. I think that still stands. It was a entertaining book, to say the least, and I actually really did like the plot behind it, and I wanted to keep reading it because I wanted to know what was gonna happen, but it wasn't like the best book that I've ever read. Honestly, actually, I think I would give this 4 stars. I'm gonna give it 4 stars because I was really, really, really entertained by it. Next, Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I gave Ugly Love 5 stars. No. That's gonna get a 3 stars from me. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't have much to compare it to. Also, this was only the second book that I read last year, and I had just finally gotten back into reading after I stopped throughout like college just because I was busy. And it's not a 5-star read. I would say it's 3 stars just because it wasn't the worst book I've ever read, but it also just really left me hanging. Like, there was so much more that I could have gotten from that book. It actually made me feel pretty emotional, but that's about it. Next was Layla. I gave Layla 4 stars. No, absolutely not. Layla's a 1 star for me now. I don't know why I gave it 4 stars. Looking back, there was nothing I actually enjoyed about it. I guess I just rated it 4 stars because I got through it. And that was only the 3rd book I read that year. This book is not good. That's a 1 star. I'll give it 2 stars. I was interested in what was gonna happen. I just didn't like what happened, if that makes any sense. 2 stars for Layla. Okay, next. Some people might come for me for this, but Verity is one of my favorite books ever. I know there's a lot of controversy with Coho, which I'm not gonna put my input there because I don't want to be mean, but I loved Verity. I think about this book all the time. That book kept me up at night. I don't get scared easily. Like, I'll watch horror movies by myself for hours in the middle of the night, but this book, I could not read it with the lights out. I was so scared, and I don't know why I was scared, because it's just like his wife, but this book gave me the creeps. It gave me the EBGBs. Yeah, 5 stars. That's right. Okay, the next one is Where the Crawdads Sing. I gave that one 5 stars, and I think that's very accurate. I think this book is beautiful. I think the plot was amazing. I think the writing was amazing. I just loved everything about this book. And then I learned the controversy behind the author, Delia Owens. I'm a little skeptical about that, obviously, for a good reason. But I love this book. And I'm having a lot of moral conflict right now. So, I'm gonna keep it at 5 stars just because this book really made me feel something. It just like made me feel like I was a part of that world. Especially since I grew up in North Carolina and like know the kind of areas that the book was set in. So yeah, that was a good one for me. Delia Owens, you kind of suck, but your book is good. Next is The Hawthorne Legacy. That's the 2nd book in the Inheritance Game series. I gave it 5 stars. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I'm changing that. Just because the 1st book is one of my favorite books of all time. The 2nd one just kind of fell short for me a little bit, and I had a lot of high expectations because of how much I liked the 1st book, but it didn't really live up to my standards for the series, I guess. But I did really enjoy it. It's not one of my favorite books of all time, and it didn't really enthrall me as much as I thought it would, so I gave that 4 stars. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm giving it 4 stars now. Next we have Circe. I gave Circe 3 stars, and I think that's still accurate. It was a really pretty book. Honestly, actually, I think I get so conflicted when I read or when I rate books because I know it's a good book, I just didn't like it, so I need to not feel bad for rating a book bad if I didn't like it, and this is one of those times. I know this is a beautiful book. Madeline Miller's writing is amazing. I just could not get through this book because I was so bored. Like, she has so much talent, but I didn't personally like the book. So I'm gonna give it 2 stars. It had 3 stars. I'm knocking down a star just because I came to reality that I don't need to feel guilty about my Goodreads ratings. What difference is it gonna make to anybody? It's my rating. That's how I personally felt about the book. So I'm giving it 2 stars. I was really interested in the story for a little bit, and then I just got so bored. But I wanted to know what happened, so I have never done this with a book in my entire life, but I skipped like 4 chapters. I was just like, get this over with. So I just skimmed through them to make sure I didn't like think anything important was happening, and I just skipped them. And then I just read the last few chapters and I was like, all right, next book. Now we got Daisy Jones and the Six, and I gave that 5 stars, and I'm gonna keep that 5 stars because I'm obsessed with this book. Taylor Jenkins Reid is my favorite author of all time. There's only been one book that I was just a little iffy about from her that I've read so far, but every other one has been pretty much 5-star read for me. And Daisy Jones and the Six was her first book that I read, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the format, like the whole interview style. It made it like very fast-paced in my mind, so I was easily able to get through it. I couldn't put it down. I read it in 24 hours probably. I still, to this day, feel so stupid, but the entire time, up until the end, I thought that these people were real. I thought I went into this book completely blind. So I thought these were real people. I thought this was a real band. I was scrounging Google trying to find videos of them performing. They were not real, obviously. We know that now. I have never felt more stupid in my life than the moment that I realized that this is all fiction. So that was a very fun and eye-opening experience for me, and that's another reason why I really like this book, because obviously it was written very realistically, because I believed every word of it. So yeah, that's Daisy Jones and the Six is a 5-star. Okay, Stolen. I gave Stolen 4 stars. I've never seen this book anywhere. I think I just got it on Libby because it was available and the plot sounded interesting. I've never seen anyone talk about this book. So the premise of this book is a girl gets kidnapped and is taken to live in the desert with her kidnapper, and that's it. This book had me feeling weird. Like, I gave it 4 stars. That's not true. It's gonna get 3 stars. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't that good. The same thing was going on throughout the entire book, just very repetitive. I just wanted to know what happened to her in the end. That's all I wanted. So I just kept going. And then it just put me through some moral conflict. And I feel icky. You're just gonna have to read this to check it out. If you're curious, it's an okay book. I'm not recommending it necessarily, but if you're interested, like, it's worth the time if you want to check it out. Stolen gets 3 stars now. The Hating Game, I gave 4 stars. And I think I'm gonna... I don't know. I think I'm gonna keep it there just because in reality, it's like a 3.5 to me. So, actually no, I'm gonna put it down to 3. I was entertained by the book. I didn't really see anything completely wrong with it, but it wasn't one of the best books I've ever read, that's for sure. I hated the movie. God. The book was good, I was entertained. It just wasn't, like, life-changing, I guess. It just didn't do much for me. It was just a book that was there. 3 stars for The Hating Game. Okay, this is fair. I gave The Love Hypothesis 3 stars, and I'm gonna keep it there because same kind of thing as The Hating Game. It's just a book that I read that was fun-ish, I guess. I don't know how else to put that. It was okay. Once again, it wasn't the best book I've ever read, but I was entertained by it. It was a cute story. It just wasn't doing much for me. Haven't thought about it since. So, Love Hypothesis is staying at 3 stars. This is where it gets interesting. I used to say that Every Summer After was one of my favorite books. Here it has 5 stars. That's not true anymore because I have reflected and I realized I absolutely hate the trope that's in this book, and I don't know why I ever gave it 5 stars. I think it's just because I grew up going to the lake as a kid, and me and my friends would just, like, I don't know, mess around at the lake, and it was really fun, and I had a lot of good times. We'd go camping and stuff, so it just felt very nostalgic to me, just like the whole lake aspect. And I like, my favorite trope in the world is childhood friends to lovers. Like, it just feels so special. But you know, the one thing that happens in this book that completely ruined it for me. But I think I gave it 5 stars then just because I felt so many emotions right when I finished reading it that I was like, oh my god, this book just changed my life. No, it didn't. It's going down to 3 stars because why do you need to add unnecessary plot points that ruin the whole book? So, 3 stars for Every Summer After. That hurts me to say because I used to be obsessed with that book. Okay. In 5 years, I gave 2 stars. I'm knocking that down to 1 because the more I think about it, the more I hate this book. It makes me so angry. I want to throw this book against a wall, and I never want to let anyone else read it ever again. The plot of this book is horrible. Why would you write that? Like, what went through? Who wrote this? Rebecca Searle? What went through Rebecca's mind to say, yeah, this is a good idea for a book? How could you do that to your characters? Like, why would you make them that type of person? I will never get over it. It made me so angry. So I gave it 2 stars then, I guess, because I was like, oh, I feel bad giving it 1 star. No, I don't feel bad. This is getting 1 star. This is my least favorite book that I've ever read. Malibu Rising, I gave 5 stars, and I'm gonna keep it at 5 stars because this book, like, completely transported me to a different world. I felt like I was living in California, even though I live quite literally across the country. Yeah, I gave Malibu Rising 5 stars. I'm gonna keep it at 5 stars just because the vibes in this book are so good, and I loved everything about it. I saw no flaws in this book. 5 stars to Malibu Rising. I gave The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo 5 stars, and I'm also gonna keep that. This book made me feel some type of way. Storytelling aspect of this book is immaculate. The only thing I didn't like, I don't even want to say I didn't like it, it was just kind of a little disappointing, was like the whole plot twist of like how the connections between, like, you know what I'm talking about. That was just a little disappointing because I was like, oh, I thought it would be something different. I don't know. I think about it a lot. So 5 stars for The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Last but not least, out of all of the 16 books that I read in 2022 is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I gave it 5 stars. I don't know, I think I'm gonna put it down to 4 stars. I feel bad for that because it is such a good book, but it's not one of my favorite books and it didn't really, like, change me, I guess. I didn't really get, I don't know how to explain it. It's a really, really good book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think everybody should read it because it has a lot of important messages in it, but it's not one of my favorite books of all time, and it just, something, I don't know, like, it's not even like anything was missing. It just wasn't a 5-star read. I think I gave it 5 stars in the moment just because I was like, wow, that was a really, really good book, but I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars just because I don't even know how to explain it, but in my mind it makes sense. So 4 stars for I'm Glad My Mom Died. Alright, so that's my reevaluation of every book that I read in 2022, and I think I'm probably going to do it at the end of this year, but it's going to be a lot longer because I've already read 3 times the amount of books than I did last year this year, so we'll see how that goes. So stay tuned for that in 6 months. Actually, I might do a little recap now that it's June for every book I read in the 6 months, like a little mid-year check-in, I guess. That'll be coming soon. I had a lot of fun making this. I'm hoping to keep this whole little YouTube thing going because I think it could be so much fun, and I think I could find a great community on here. And I just want you guys to see a little bit more about me and how I am, other than just like my selfies on my Bookstagram. If you want to stick around, you can subscribe. If you want to help me out, you can like and comment. Anything helps. And then you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at Real McCoy Reads with 2 S's on the end. All right, bye guys, thank you.